Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
Humboldt, you'll pay for this with your life. I curse you. Humboldt, and I curse your descendants. I will hunt you to your grave.
This is episode 110, recorded October 17th, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
I hope that didn't take, because I feel kind of cursed right now.
Uh-oh.
My friends call me Humboldt sometimes, so I guess I didn't tell you guys that. I am your host, Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, maybe even the ugly films released since the beginning of time through 1969. In each episode, we'll discuss the monsters, spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. On this podcast, we start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, follow that with some first impressions, and then move into a general discussion. Also, Decades of Horror, the classic era, is partnering with the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel. They're cool. They have good movies. I actually watched a movie starring Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and directed by Terrence Fisher that was not a Hammer film.
Really?
Yeah. Don't ask me what it is, but I forgot because it has like two different titles and they don't make any sense.
Tease.
I'll tell you later. All right. So yeah, we're partnering with the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, and you can watch us on that channel. So it's on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV. There's a website online or any OTT platforms. So check it out. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. First up is Whitney Cayatso, an accomplished artist, makeup artist, writer, and witchy curse person.
Yeah, I'm just some person that just said I curse some descendants to their grave. No big deal.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Just
happens every day.
Yeah.
Everyday deal. So how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Also with us is Chad Hunt, co-host on the other Decades of Horrors, film producer and director with Wreak Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer. How are you, Chad?
I'm fantastic, Jeff. I'm so happy to be here. Especially with my little glittery purple Hulk in the background that's just bugging the crap out of me.
I love it.
Quit looking at it.
Yeah, I've heard that more than once in my life.
I think Whitney put a curse on it, I think.
Maybe.
Purple's my favorite color. Just saying.
Pestilence will befall. Yeah.
Stop looking at it.
Also with us is Daphne, the awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. Daphne, how are you?
I'm real good, thanks. How are you guys?
Right.
So I'm so excited to see you guys and talk about this.
Same here.
Good to see you.
Well, I'm more excited to see you guys and talk about it, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Well, no, I want to talk about this. I enjoyed this film. So this one, as Chad pointed out, ironically enough, is Daphne's pick, considering her recent hairdo. The title is I had to, it's a do, I could tell. The Long Hair of Death. Not the long death of hair, but the long hair of death. I have experienced the long death of hair. But anyway, this one is directed by Antonio Margheriti. However, this is one of those movies where like everybody was under a different name on the credits. So as far as the credits go, it was directed by Anthony Dawson, written by Tonino, Valerii, and Ernesto Gastaldi, but I think Margheriti got his hand in on it at some point. cast includes Barbara Steele, George Artisan, and Helena Zaluska. Filmed at Massimo Castle in Arsoli and Cinecittà Studios in Rome. It was released in the U.S. Oh, that's not right. Oh, shame on you, Jeff. How did I do that?
What'd you do now?
Because I'm going to have to cut that. Well, that's not a correct release date on this slide.
Give us a topic while you're doing that.
Butter.
One time I took a stick of butter and I dipped it into a jar of ragu spaghetti sauce. And then I threw it away.
All right.
All of it. Butter.
I feel so bad.
Spaghetti sauce and everything.
See, I'm thinking the domestic box office. That might be wrong too. Maybe not. That's probably right. So yeah, apparently, according to IMDb, this film has never been released in the U.S. So ignore that date on that slide. Released in Italy, April 30th, 1965. But there are some sources that say it was released in like December 30th, 1964. So I don't know. Released in the UK in October 1967. Box office was listed on, I believe, Wikipedia, 321 million lira, which translates to about $500,000. The synopsis, I really tried to give, I was going to rewrite a better synopsis that gave, you could tell, but it just gets too long. So a woman under suspicion of witchcraft is burned alive. Her curse brings her back from the dead for revenge. So you got that going for you, Whitney. The curse will bring you back from revenge. This is just the weirdest movie because here's the poster. And did you guys see any women with blonde hair in this movie?
No.
And here's a couple other posters with white hair and blonde hair.
That's
and then one where they went, ooh, that hair color's not right. We'll just do a cutout of Barbara Steele's face and stick it on her, even though she's not the one who gets burned. So none of these posters have anything to do really with the movie other than...
The only reason why it would make sense that they would do a color that's bright or yellow or white and Chad would pick it out too is just because you can't put dark on dark when you're doing artwork. It doesn't really work. So that's the only reason why I would see it, that they would do that for the artwork.
Yeah, for example, up in the top right corner, it's Barbara Steele's head and her black hair. Now we all know she has long black hair in the movie, but you can hardly see it.
Right.
You know, it looks like she's wearing a tiara or something.
That I totally thought it was like her hair from the movie or a tiara. It's unfortunate though, because other than that, it's a really cool poster, I think, with all the red across across her body and stuff.
You know, and the guy in the nice suit with the skull. So anyway, it's a memorable poster, right? It's one I've seen a lot, and I don't know why I never watched this movie. So there we are. Now is normally the time for the taglines, but this movie has no taglines.
Oh,
none. I couldn't even find them on a poster anywhere.
And he didn't make any up. That is so sweet.
Well, I was, except for The Long Death of Hair, but I already gave that one away. So, anyway.
Wow, no taglines.
So I'm going to do a quick synopsis, a little longer quick synopsis, because it's going to be too confusing to talk about this because these women are playing multiple parts, right? So Helena Zaluska plays Adele and Adele's youngest daughter, Elizabeth, as an adult. Barbara Steele plays Adele's oldest daughter, Helen, and the woman who calls herself Mary after she comes back from the grave after spending about a decade in a coffin with her mother's ashes. Refusing the elder count's sexual advances results in Adele being burned at the stake as a witch, during which she curses the count and his family. When Adele's older daughter, Helen, discovers why her mother was killed, the count kills her too, throws her into the waterfall. Adele's younger daughter, Elizabeth, is eventually forced to marry the now deceased count's worthless nephew or son. I mean, this translation thing. And a horrible and deadly plague sweeps the land, which is part of the curse. Adele actually says something about a pestilence will befall your people or something. And then during a thunderstorm that amazingly, I guess, ends the plague, a mysterious woman appears named Mary, who looks exactly like Helen. She doesn't strongly resemble her. She looks exactly like Helen. In an atmosphere of cruelty, superstition, sexuality, and the scourge of the plague, Mary begins to avenge Adele's death. Sorry, but let's get the first impressions.
Don't be sorry.
I was going to say, let's get the first impressions.
I should stop talking. All right. Well, this is Daphne's pick, so I want to.
What movie are we doing again?
The Long Hair of Death.
Okay.
So Daphne.
Yes.
tell us what you thought of this film.
Well, the first time I saw it was several weeks ago, maybe a little over a month. I was just going through, I think, Canopy, looking for stuff. I saw Barbara Steele's name, so I thought, let's watch this. So I think I put it on our list first and then watched it. And that was the first time I saw it. My first impression is that I dislike Kurt immensely. And that's also my second and last probably impression. But I liked the Gothic. I liked the Gothic a lot, the atmosphere. I liked kind of like the women revenge thing going on there. And there was some things there were some parts that I thought were really slow, but there were some parts that I really liked a lot. And there was a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you guys about because I thought, I just didn't know what they meant, or, I wanted to get your guys' input on, but I thought it was pretty fun.
Wrong place to find anything out from us.
No, I'm in the right place always when I'm here. So, yeah. I like Barbara Steele. I'll watch Barbara Steele.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Let's go Chad next. Chad?
This is the first time I've ever heard of this movie. The last time we announced that the next movie is going to be The Long Armpit of long hair, The Long Wig of the Law, whatever that was. I was like, I've never seen this before, but had Barbara Steele in it, and so I can't be all that bad. And so, yeah, I came away from this movie with the first impression of, I've never hated a character so bad in my entire life worse than Kurt. Kurt, this character, and they just made you hate him so much. And then after he's killed everybody and maybe one of them's come back to life, he cries like none of my murders worked. What do I do now? I just wanted to just pummel him into submission. I hated him so bad. He just was so... I think we talked before the show about the Little Rascals in one episode where little Jackie goes up to Mary because he likes her and goes, I'm a caveman and you're my wife. And she's like, oh, yeah? Well, that's sort of the same thing that happened here. She's like, oh, yeah? We'll see. As soon as as soon as the plague's over, then we're going to do something else. And then, you know, I'm going to make your ass fall off. I got a whole list of stuff I'm going to make happen. And boy, did it happen. And it was a good, despite that fact, it was a really, really good movie. I really liked it. And usually I can kind of figure out what's going to happen or what's going on in these kind of movies. But in this one, the story was so engaging and it drew you into these characters. I mean, yeah, I agree with Daphne. There were some parts that seemed to stretch out a little bit long, but in the end, you kind of needed that for those characters to kind of develop a little bit, and which worked out really good. So yeah, I really, really like this movie.
Yay. Whitney,
the
how
long
about
pit
you?
hair. Yeah.
The long hair of death.
Oh my gosh, it seems like it needs another title, like Everybody Hates Kurt or something.
Yeah.
That's the sequel. I think.
Yeah, but no, and I'm sorry. I think I zoned out when we were doing a run through of some of this stuff of the title, and yeah, so it's The Long Hair of Death, and that's the direct translation from Los Largos Cabellos de la Muerte. So I kind of zoned out on some stuff there, but no, this was full of drama, and I'm not so much into like love triangle stuff, but this one, you know, I was definitely full of questions. And just seeing the revenge, like Daphne was saying, along with some of these characters and where they need to play out, where they need to be. And just there was a lot of pacing and seeing where the characters go. And yes, the atmosphere was beautiful, dark, and just I think it was just as much scary, going back to say how we don't like this Humboldt character, just because how much horror driven it is with the drama and of the relationships and what's very forced between these people, between him and Elizabeth, and there's just so much drama. It was just beautiful and angry. I don't know how else to put it right now, but I guess we'll go back and forth on it.
It was almost like a Dark Shadows episode.
Yes,
it was more soap
almost.
opera than
yes,
definitely
like a novella kind of thing. But it was just no comedy or anything, but definitely almost like a Dark Shadows kind of vibe.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you took the words right out of my mouth. It felt like one of those Dan Curtis, you know, not so much that it was so low budget, but it felt like the camera, the look of it,
right? Like
you
had that TV
studio
network studio,
yeah. Even though it was actually shot at a castle, so yeah, and the melodramatic music, which actually, I love the music. It got a little repetitive, but man, by the end of the movie, when they did that final scene, I got goosebumps from that. So yeah, boy, God, the men are just real awful dicks in this.
Their hair was too.
Yeah, even the elderly Humboldt is like, I'm not letting you. But she wants him to stop her mother's death, and she says, "Oh, they won't do it without me."
Yeah,
come here, lay down. I would like to experience what it's like to kiss you.
Gross.
What kind of? And they just assume that's going to happen. You know, they're the lords, I guess, the counts, and they just say, "Here's what's happening," and that's what we're doing. I actually like this quite a bit. You know, it's got its faults, but And I still don't get where the long, I mean, I do know where the long hair of death comes from, because they make this effigy and they put all these people's hair on it that when the hair burns, it's supposed to absolve them of their sins, apparently. But yeah, that was very strange.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of long hair other than that. What's kind of weird.
No. I mean, what? So
and if you got, I don't know if you guys watched the trailer for it on YouTube. There's a trailer for it. It was every 5 seconds. The long hair of death. See Barbara Steele in a ghost. The long hair of death. And they would flash up on the screen every time. It was. I watched the trailer before I actually went in and watched the movie, and I was just going, "Oh my god!"
Wow.
I should have.
See the ghostly apparition of the long hair of death.
So we have to talk about these issues here. So, what the heck was up with Elizabeth?
What do you mean?
Well, how were they trying to kill her? That didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I was confused
about that too.
Was it like sleeping potion, and then they were going to suffocate her in the...
Whatever the poison was, it was supposed to make her look like she suffocated. So I think they took her down to the crypt or whatever to try to make it look like she was suffocated.
Sealed it with wax, and then go down later and open it up and go, it worked.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Little did he know. Stupid Kurt.
He's such an idiot.
Kind of over elaborate, easier way.
Kurt, you idiot.
Kurt.
I was
push the red button, Kurt. Sorry, Kurt. That's a Ren and Stimpy.
You do a good imitation. That's nice.
Thank you. But yeah, that made no sense at all. It made, and then he's like, they find out the passageway leads back to her room, and he's like super excited about that. That makes it even easier. This guy is such an idiot.
It's your castle, dude. I mean,
I know. Elizabeth seemed to figure it out pretty quick when she found it, but
not Kurt.
So
yeah, that was one of many questions I had about it. Yeah. I did like it, but there was some things where I was like, which actually, in some ways, I wish they would have clarified, but in other ways, it's like I'm kind of okay with not knowing why, what this means or whatever. But that was one of those things.
I think the director didn't like Kurt either, so he wanted to make him walk all through the castle carrying Elizabeth up down the stone stairway. Anyway,
stupid Kurt.
Yeah, it was odd. It was odd. Now, apparently you couldn't poison them because they would automatically know it was poison, or you couldn't. The sleeping powder, which I guess I thought it was poison at first, but I guess it was some sort of
right. And somehow that container, everybody would recognize that container of the sleeping powder, so she had to hide the sleeping powder container. I don't know. It's all very dramatic.
It was a popular brand of
exactly.
Didn't it look like there was some kind of? Is it just me, or when using that substance, it almost looked like kind of foggy or something over it?
Yeah.
I had questions about that. Like, what is this? Is this part of? This person is accusing other individuals of witchcraft, but there's something funky about this substance. What is that?
Yep.
It wasn't dry ice.
No. So so not only, I mean, Kurt, again, to add to the things that Kurt did, he did have this maniacal laughter that seemed to coincide with whenever,
as most village idiots do,
stuck it to somebody else. Yeah. So, but The way he does Elizabeth.
Kurt, have you been in my sleeping powder again? No, mother.
Elizabeth.
Did
You're
it
mine.
smoke when
and
you
there's
opened
nothing.
That's my
Elizabeth,
good
you're mine.
sleeping powder.
Oh my goodness.
But it worked apparently. I don't know. So he just announces to Elizabeth that she's his. You're mine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're getting married. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, I know. So gross.
Even
Though his dad was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, his dad commanded him. Well, I'm all grown up now. You can't command
exactly.
me.
So disgusting.
Oh man! So I'm not sure how to talk about this. Let's go back to the opening scene because I thought that was crazy wild when they hauled Adele out there to burn her, and they had that huge. It was like a stick hut or something that they put her inside and started on fire.
A multi-room. I feel like it was huge. She was moving from room to room.
I'm going to run over here. No, it's on fire over here. I'm going to run over here. No, it's on fire too.
I wasn't expecting that. I expected, you know, when I thought, okay, they're going to do the typical thing, do a pyre and just, you know, just kind of put her, you know,
they got one of the 3 little pigs to make her a house.
Oh my
to set it
God.
on fire.
And
then she climbs up to the top.
Yeah.
Too,
yes.
I really liked that scene, but if you think about it, it's like, what is this? What's the purpose of this? Why is there a room that she can run around in? You know, you guys couldn't have been more efficient, you know, like,
what I liked about that scene, I didn't really like this, but it was just, it almost seemed like it was a line that could have belonged to and like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they say, "Oh, she's afraid because she's holding on to the cross or something like that." Well, I mean,
totally.
What?
I know.
I'd have been in the crowd going, "Jump,
she's guilty."
Jump.
No.
Yeah.
They definitely had the, you know, the if she floats, she's a duck thing going on there. It was, The if you burn, you're innocent. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
No. If you're innocent, God will save you.
Oh, yeah, that's
you will
right.
come out untouched. I'm like, wow.
But I felt like that scene was really good to kind of show it was very dramatic in a way that I really liked. It wasn't like melodramatic or anything, but I felt like seeing her move around in there just kind of prolonged the suffering that she was in. And then when she climbs on the cross, but the whole time I was thinking, how big is this thing? What's going on? It's like a condo.
Multi-level.
I know.
That was crazy to me.
And if she could climb that high, I don't know about you, but I'd have jumped for the nearest place where there's no fire and made a run for it. All the while, damn you, Humboldt! You and your descendants are gonna die. They'd have had to catch my ass, that's for sure.
Well, that's where I love the music though, because I don't know, that music really added to the suspense for me.
I agree.
Really crescendoed.
And I was listening to it and I'm like, in some ways it was just like, so like, you know, but I still totally was like, yes, every time it did that, I was going along with it. I loved it. I really did like the music too, even though it was totally over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. My only criticism was it got kind of repetitive, but then by the end of the movie, when they really did the mega crescendo, when good old Kurt gets his, maybe I was just so excited to see that, but I got goosebumps when they cranked that music up and they were showing him.
Yeah, it was good. The biggest question I had when I rewatched it was that, and I want to know what you guys thought. Like, do you feel like Grumalda had a little bit more of I don't know what her role was necessarily in this group of people, like what her purpose was, but I wondered if Grumalda kind of knew, Laura Nucci kind of understood what was going on. Like she was almost like they hinted to it a little bit that she kind of, I don't know. I took it like, why did she tell Elizabeth about her mom's ashes? Why the hell is her mom's ashes in with Helen in the first place, right next to their castle? And you know,
so she can have the comfort of praying to her ashes at her sister's grave every day for the rest of your life. Anyway,
I felt like they were in on it.
That's what I thought too.
I felt like they were in on it somehow, but it never explained.
Exactly.
Explained it, but that's the impression I got.
And it was almost like I had to wonder, like, if it's something that she kind of was a part of, but she never verbalized it to anybody. She never even verbalized it to Elizabeth, but somehow, like, I don't know if it was a witch or being a woman or what, but I sometimes I wondered, it's like, she knows what's going on, but they don't make it in a really major part of the story, but they throw these things in, like she looks at the effigy at the end and it's like, you could kind of think maybe she sees some eyes behind the mask, or maybe she doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
She kind of, yeah. So I don't know. I just, the last time I watched, I thought, it just made me wonder about her.
I felt like she was in on it, or she kind of knew what was going on. Just, you know, the way she would come down and go, your wife's sick. She's not feeling good.
Just so matter of fact.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she really
but
seemed
I felt
like
like
she was
Elizabeth,
egging on Kurt.
Yeah, but I felt like Elizabeth didn't know what was going on. Do you guys feel like Elizabeth knew what was going on?
I don't think so.
They went down and carried her back up from the tomb, right?
I don't know.
I'm like,
this going got way more complicated than I thought it was.
No, sorry, that's my job, I guess.
She was no. I mean, I thought the same thing. I was trying to figure out. Okay, is it Grimelda? Maybe Grimelda saw the Count put the stuff in her glass and switched it out or something, but then she would have had to tell, or maybe just, I don't know. But then it gets more and more elaborate. She'd have to like move the lid so she could breathe, and then put it back so they couldn't tell. You know.
But didn't she also see Kurt and Mary together? Especially when they had that moment, that kiss, and when she's saying to Kurt, like, "Oh, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't get caught." And I thought that Laura's character watched them.
Unless she could not see, unless she couldn't see Mary and was just standing there watching Kurt kiss himself.
Oh, I wish that was the case.
No kidding.
You know, and she's like, man, this guy's off his rocker.
Well, I guess I kind of thought like it was, at some point I was able to accept that it was kind of like a ghost story. Like somehow the ghost was messing with them, was messing with Kurt. But I'm not really sure what, you know, if that meant that he actually brought her down or carried her up, or he imagined it or what. But I was okay with thinking, okay, maybe this is just a ghost story and Mary is just messing with him. But that was definitely something that I wasn't sure about. And for the Grimalda, the part I was saying, it was almost like, I don't know. It was almost like on another level that she would know what was going on. She doesn't necessarily know of like the actual tangible, okay, they're carrying her down, doing that, but she just knew that something kind of was going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not, I feel like I'm not making any sense because the movie was just kind of, but it was in this eerie world that I could go with. But if I sit and think about it, I can't necessarily tell you, what was happening, you know?
Well, a lot of it was lacking logic, you know, which I guess that's not the point of a movie like this, to have logic, but you want it to make some kind of sense, story-wise. So I guess that's how I did anyway. I just came to a lot of my own conclusions about what was going on, and I just felt like even I can't remember the Umberto Rao, I can't remember his character's name.
Von Clog.
Von Clog, yeah. I keep thinking plumber's helper or something like that. Baron Unclogged. But anyway, I felt like in a way he was in on it somehow. Yeah. He was trying to force Kurt's hand in some things, you know. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on that maybe overall didn't make a whole lot of sense. But like I said, you came to the wrong place if you're looking for answers.
Well, I'm totally comfortable kind of going with it. This is just a ghost story and something weird is going on that doesn't make sense. But I also kind of thought it was interesting that it's definitely very political. Like the things that you said about the unclog guy and Grimalda, it's like they just know that this is how, you know, that he probably couldn't stand Kurt either and was trying to figure out a way to kind of take over. And so that was kind of playing in there as well. And I don't know. I guess I just kind of look at it as a ghost story, but there were some things that I'm like, what is this? And what's that?
So besides those first three, well, Giuliani Raffaelli was the elder Humboldt, and he was billed as John Rafferty.
Okay.
Didn't he sing Baker Street back in the 70s?
Yeah, maybe. And Laura Nucci played Grimalda, and she was listed as Laureen Nguyen. And Umberto Rajo played Von Clog, and he was listed as Robert Raines. So I don't know. Maybe they dubbed him, but that just seems weird. And if you look at, for instance, Antonio Margheriti's credits, they all say he was billed as Anthony Dawson. Almost all of them anyway. I didn't double check. So maybe that was just a standard thing. And even the writers, the people who supplied the story, Ernesto Gastaldi was listed as Julian Barry. Tonino Valerii was listed as Robert Bohr. So yeah,
Giuliano looks like he's straight out of a silent era film.
Yes.
That expression.
Oh, he was great. Right, he was great.
Yeah.
In that picture in particular, he reminds me of Gollum.
Yes.
Gollum.
Yeah.
Or Golem? Gollum? I can't. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
He does. That's what I thought of too. I can't remember. It's been so long since we did Golem.
Golem. That's right.
But yeah, he's got that overexpressive silent era, over the top, that look on his face there.
Yeah.
Well, he starts off very smug and in control, but as time goes on and after Adele curses him, he starts getting diarrhea. Yeah, probably, but weirder and weirder. Right?
He looked
his
like
hair's frazzled, and he was, of course, Kurt's working in the background. These are those three leads that we've been talking about. George Arneson as Kurt, Helena Zaluska as Adele and Elizabeth, and then Barbara Steele. Yeah,
I guess she did have some kind of like tiara on her, and that looks like the same image on the poster.
She had her hair there were times where it was all the way down, like when she was running, or but there was other times where she had it like in I don't know if it's really a pigtail, but there was one time where they were divided in two behind her, and then another time where it was up like that. So anyway, when I first started looking at pictures of this, I was like, no, wait a minute. Is that Barbara Steele? That's not Barbara Steele, but boy, they got two. But yeah,
they have a likeness.
Sisters,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with Helena Zaluska, because I didn't connect that she was playing both roles until a little bit later, maybe after like the second time I saw it, which I thought was really cool, because
she had a little bit of makeup on to make her look older, but not much. So yeah, those are our three. So there's a couple of shots from the stake burning scene. That's where she was. I think she was inside the house of sticks, and then shouting out the curse on the top of the sticks. That was a severe. Now I'm going to put one up that covers the whole screen up because it didn't look right. This is my absolute favorite shot, I guess.
Wow! Oh yeah, beautiful. That was good. Yeah.
But she went out there and put her hands through the ashes and then raised it up in the wind, and you couldn't tell the smoke from the ashes, and it was just.
And they just blew away. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Very quick, but shows a really good eye. I just love that shot.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Even the one you had before with just her on top up on the cross, like that one, I feel like the character is so animated and so powerful. It's like, I think part of why it was kind of hard for me to connect that they were two of the same, the actor was the same, was because their characters are so different. Like right here, she's just so powerful. And Elizabeth, otherwise, I mean, even though she stands up for herself and stuff, she's not the same character as her mother is in this scene.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of the pyre stuff I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the lighting. I don't know about that stuff. It was like the lighting with the fire, or you guys know more about that stuff than I did, but the black and the shadow and everything, it was just really beautiful.
Definitely agree with the shadowing and the black of everything.
It was so a lot of it. So this has some very stark images, I think, that really suck you in, and then you pair that with the music, and it just has that much more impact. So then we have the storm and the lightning bolt. I guess Elizabeth is out there. No, nobody's out there. They're having the funeral for the Count, right? Or no, the Count.
Oh wait, no, he was there, didn't he? Or was he?
He was there. What was they were having some kind of service in the middle of the storm at night. And the lightning bolt comes and creates a crack in the earth right over her grave. And we get this bottom picture. And it's sort of clumsy lap dissolves to get there, but it was still effective. It was creepy looking. I thought.
I agree.
Yeah,
it was.
With like partial eyeballs showing or weird. I don't know what they were, but wow. And then the top picture is when they said, "This is Helen's body."
Right. And
it had been put into the crypt where he thought Elizabeth was. So
people were moving bodies around.
Another bit of ledger domain. I'm starting to think maybe they were just all making Kurt hallucinate. You know,
right.
The witch was like, or not the witch, the Mary or Adele and Helen. Because, you know, that Grimelda says something about, doesn't she say something when she takes the younger Elizabeth to the grave, something about her ashes are with her to give them both the strength to complete her curse or something? Or am I making that up?
I don't know if I remember that, but I know that she was very, Grimalda was very like secretive about it and told her that she can't tell anybody and she can't talk about it.
That the ashes are in there.
Yeah, that the ashes are there. Yeah. I'm quite intrigued with the Grimalda character, even though there wasn't a whole lot of her.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, the name like Grimalda.
Grimalda, you gotta love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she struck me as somebody who was kind of like running the show from the background. You know, like all these men thought they were in control of the castle, and although we don't really see anything that says that. So this is another thing I got to ask if you guys notice this. So that's the hair in the guy's hand.
Somebody's been sinning.
And then the other long hair is on this effigy thing, kind of skull looking. I don't know. It was creepy.
Yeah, those are good shots.
So did you guys see? I saw some shots, and I don't know if it was faults in the film. I watched it on YouTube, so I'm interested to see if Daphne saw the same thing. But there was like these weird sort of like wavy lines that went up around things a couple times on it. Anybody else notice that?
I didn't notice that.
I noticed it, but I thought the one on YouTube is such a bad copy. I felt like some of the film may have been warped, or that's what I thought it was. But it just wasn't a very good print on YouTube. I wish we would have had a better print of it, or because I'm sure it looked even more beautiful if you could actually kind of see everything and it wasn't so blurry in some places and stuff.
I agree.
I think there is a Blu-ray of this, and I almost ordered it.
There is.
Oh, cool.
I wasn't soon enough to get it in time, and so I thought I'd wait and see what I thought later. But yeah, he comes up with these hairs in his hand, and I think it was sort of like she's supposed to be dead. Elizabeth is supposed to be dead, yet we're getting fresh hairs in her comb, and she comes and kisses him when he's sleeping, and he freaks out and wakes up and she's not there. So he thinks I assume he thinks it's a dream, but now he's got all these hairs in his hand. Creepy stuff. And the effigy.
Yeah, that was so creepy. Cool. Yeah. I was, you were talking about how it would probably look so much better on Blu-ray and stuff. It's like I was totally paying attention to the fabric that was used, because I mean, I don't know a whole lot about that time, but every time I see a movie where there's like a castle or something, there's this really awesome like tapestry and the fabric and all this stuff that's used for the costuming. And I mean, you can really see that even in the one on YouTube. It's like the clothes that they were wearing. It was all really, really beautiful. And I wonder how it would have looked, like you said, with the Blu-ray. I really would have. And then even looking at the effigy, I mean, like, what's it made out of? And, it looks like it's got natural stuff on it.
There's like a tree branch for an arm.
Yeah.
And yeah. No, I knew you were going to say something about the costuming, because it was pretty elaborate. Anyway.
Yeah, it was beautiful, that part. And I actually kind of thought that at part I was like, God, I wish I could see this in color. But the fact that it was in black and white just made it more atmospheric, I thought. And you could still see that the fabric and everything else was very cool and intense. But just seeing it in the black and white, it kind of, I don't know, I appreciated it as well.
Well,
designs like that definitely have that emphasis with the lights and darks.
Well, I like the the guys were wearing these weird, I don't know what you call them. They're like puffy jackets that have panels with a hidden pleat behind them or something. I don't know how that works, but it looks
it's like a puffy shirt
out of Romeo and Juliet or something.
And there's always a character who's doing some sort of embroidery. And I've really been getting into embroidery lately. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the amount of time that women spent in this time making stuff by hand blows me away. Anyway.
So we've only covered, go ahead, Whitney.
No, Daphne is right. Just the amount of time spent on the costumes. I mean, even when we looked at Elizabeth character and even Mary or Helen, or just seeing
Just pick
like
a
the
name,
beads.
you'll be right.
Yeah, well, it's just kind
they
of
all play the same character,
right? I mean, it's just because it's crazy. It's one of those mind f things. Like it was one of those kinds of things going on in this movie. But and just even seeing the beading and doing the hair, and like we have seen in those characters, it's even the respect for the time for the hair design, for just to have the beads in place with the hair. That was beautiful, along with the costumes.
So you guys were talking about women with a certain shape of eye that works for, is that the Barbara Steele
for the cat eye? For the cat eye?
For that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was noticing that she had almost a kind of, I don't know.
That makeup, yes, it's such a definitely the cat eye thing is definitely something that you would see a lot during this time. I noticed that, and I always go straight to those doe eyes that pull that off all the time.
Well, I haven't seen any other Antonio Margheriti movies, but I think I need to check a few out. There's one the year before this called Castle Blood.
Yeah, for some reason I thought maybe you guys had done that one already, but no.
Okay. And that has Barbara Steele as well. So I don't know, Chad, you seen any of his movies before?
This is the first I've ever heard of him at all.
Same here.
This movie, so.
I was thinking maybe we did one in the 70s, but I was apparently wrong, unless it was some title. He directed Killer Fish, which we may well do at some point.
Killer Fish, intriguing.
Well, Bill and Doc, and I thought Chad had talked about that before.
Oh, for the 70s? Cool. Oh, come on, you guys got to do Killer Fish.
Was it Killer Fish?
Or am I thinking of another one from the 80s? There's one called Killer Fish. Jewel thieves attempt to recover treasure from piranha-infested waters.
Yeah, I think we were talking about a different movie.
Oh,
fish women or fish. One of the fish people.
Fish people.
It had fish in one of the titles. Yeah. Here's one called Flesh for Frankenstein.
Heard of that one?
I haven't heard of that one.
7 Deaths in the Cat's Eyes. That definitely sounds like maybe a giallo type thing as far as the title. So yeah, I'm going to have to check some more of this gentleman's stuff out.
I know, and I think I saw it in some of the notes that people kind of saw it as a lesser kind of gothic movie, and sometimes compared it to Bava. Which you can't really compare stuff to Bava. It's not really fair, but I don't know. I still enjoyed it, and I thought the atmosphere was really creepy. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is our second Barbara Steele movie, I think, after Black Sunday, which we did a few years ago. We need to do more of those, I think. I don't know about these none of the other actors look familiar. I'm sure they had long careers. So Margheriti also did some of the, some Hercules stuff like that in the 60s versions of that. And I wonder, Kurt could have done something like that. I
kind of want to see Kurt at maybe one more time. I don't have to necessarily have to watch a whole movie, but just kind of see like this actor doing maybe another role, because God, I despise Kurt so much.
Yeah.
Something to redeem him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh,
it was good. So yeah, I'm glad you picked this, Daphne. It was a fun one. Oh, I got to watch Castle Blood. The Italian name is Danza Macabra.
Yeah, that one definitely intrigued me. I don't know that I don't know if I even remember reading the other ones, but that one the Castle, that sounds really cool.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about? I mean, the guy that did the music, it listed him as Everrust.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched it earlier today too, and I thought, what's up with that? Yeah. Did you have a chance to look into that at all?
Well, his name is, I thought I had it, Carlo Rusticelli. And this is the only movie that I see that under his credit says as Everrust. Huh. And he's got 274 credits. So he was after it in the 60s and the 70s. Just and the 50s. Scrolling back, that's pretty much when he got going. He did a few things in the 40s, not too much, but extremely prolific. And that music sounded so iconic, it's hard for me to believe that hasn't been used someplace else. Like one of those things like Creature or Dracula or whatever that gets reused a lot.
Definitely.
All righty. I don't know. Anybody have any final comments on this?
I thought it was a great movie. I poked fun of it a little bit, like I'll do everything, but it was a good, like, ghost story, witch story, revenge story. It was really good. It's a slow burn, like we said, but I think overall it's a really good movie.
I liked it too,
especially if you're a Barbara Steele fan, and
yeah, because at the beginning I'm like going, oh God, I hope that's not the end of her, but she comes, because she exits fairly early on, but then she comes back and does a major part.
That was another part she played too, sack of potatoes.
Well, this movie, it was sort of like a roller coaster for me. Like, it has you hooked. It had me hooked in the beginning, but of course there were some paces and turns that were confusing. Like we said, with finding out the twist of her being pretty much the same character, the Helen, Mary, and everything. And just like you said, Chad, it's kind of a slow burn, and I guess it had to be because of the story they were trying to convey. And I mean, there were some things where I thought, why did it have to take this long? But all in all, it was pretty solid. And so
I wonder if it's just because we're not really used to watching that many slow burn things anymore.
Right.
I feel like when I'm watching a slow burn, I end up like a lot of the stuff I can really appreciate and love the slow burn, but I feel like when you see it now, you have to kind of adjust to that pace.
It's true. It's true. We're so fast paced now. It's become sort of a lost art to be able to sit there and enjoy a movie that's takes its time to tell its story. So you're right. You really have to kind of adjust. We're used to just scrolling back, scrolling up and down, scrolling up sideways.
Well, I love strong images and atmospheric stuff, but if there's not much, if it's very atmospheric, and that's pretty much all it has going for it, or even like, say, silent films or some 30s movies, I have to be in the mood. I have to be ready to focus and sit, because that's when it's really good, and that's kind of what I got out of this one. There is a quote, and I don't know enough about this to know the difference, but Video Librarian referred to the film as, quote, a minor classic of Gothic horror, and added that it was short on traditional horror set pieces and plot, but boasts plenty of lovely imagery and ominous atmosphere. I don't know. The plot was kind of complicated, but I guess they were short on explaining what the heck was going on. All right. Well, we have some feedback. We have a bunch of feedback. So I could even use some help with the feedback. So Rita, I'll do a couple short ones. This is for episode 109, Horror of Dracula. And Last Avenger 85, since I've learned to pronounce it correctly, says, great episode. Looking forward to the Long Hair of Death review.
Oh, cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was. I think it was Daphne talked about Lord of the Dance, and evil comment. Christopher Lee performed Lord of the Dance in The Wicker Man.
Nice.
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
It's been a while.
Complete with high water pants.
Yeah. Yes. And let's. Chad, do you want to read the next one? Are you at that?
Oh yeah, from Dallas.
Dallas. Okay. Sure. It's always a pleasure. Great podcast on horror of Dracula. I really enjoyed listening to the team's extensive knowledge of the film. Seeing Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing on the screen together is always a treat. However, I've always felt Christopher Lee could have used more lines in the film, which is why this has always been my second favorite adaptation of the book. I won't mention my favorite, as Decades of Horror, the 1970s, covered it once, and they didn't appreciate it as much as I did. So, let's just say, Frank Langella has more style in his little finger than I do in my entire body.
Oh, I love it.
I'm done with that.
Dallas, and that's from Dallas Nostromo, and we don't. Dallas is a regular listener, and I think that last statement is. I'm not going to say anything.
Millions of women disagree.
All right, and kind of in that same line, maybe Whitney, if you can take the next one from J. Bart.
Fantastic episode and guest. Is that all that you just said?
Nope, keep going.
No? Okay.
A longer one.
Okay. Over the last month, I revisited my stack of Dracula films. Here is my very subjective top 5 separations. 1, Horror of Dracula, What to Say Here. Best cast and crew ever assembled. Best Van Helsing and Dracula End Confrontation.
Definitely.
Best production sets and incredible score. 2, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Very close second. Fantastic effects and my favorite Dracula. Sadly, Keanu kills the film. Oh,
whoa!
I haven't seen that for so long. I need to watch that again because I.
Oh my gosh!
I would say really eat that baby.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. 3, Dracula 1931. Along with the Frankenstein, my first introduction to classic horror from my dad as a child. Nice. Number 4, Nosferatu. Love Ferrell portrays of Dracula.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 5, Dracula 1979. Risky, no fangs. Romantic take on the story. Fantastic second best version of Van Helsing. Honorable mention.
Laurence Olivier, right?
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, Jack Palance's Dracula. Great performance and potential ruined by lack of budget.
Totally agree.
Thank you for the great content and many laughs, Joel.
That's awesome.
That's a good list. I like seeing how people rank that stuff. I got to say,
go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I need to revisit Bram Stoker's Dracula because I don't know. I think I was just like what he says. Sadly, Keanu kills the film. Yeah. I think I was so taken out by that I didn't
Everyone's hating on Keanu. I don't get the hate.
I like him. Keanu. I just think in that movie he was
Yeah, well.
Miscast maybe.
But I love Gary Oldman, and I do think he did an awesome job.
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater, and we just
that blew me away when I saw it.
He's a great actor.
That was really good.
Good list.
All right. Daphne, you want to take Alistair's?
Yay, Al!
Al!
Yay! Alistair Hughes, Dear Curtain Ripping Classic Crew. What a joy to see the incomparable Richard Clemenson having such a great time with you all. All my favorite online imaginary friends on screen at the same time.
Who you calling imaginary?
We're real.
We're your real
Are
friends,
we?
Al.
Are we really?
Chad's actually blue screen. Kind of CGI, but anyway.
Whitney.
There's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yes, just look at the purple Hulk in the background. Did you guys see
When I
that?
thought just when I tried to forget that.
That's what I'm here for.
Hypnotized.
Whitney, you are always fantastic. And I'm so jealous that you got to see this wonderful movie on the big screen. I'm sure your artist's eye really appreciated the sumptuous color and composition.
Aw.
Awesome.
Daphne.
Yes, I loved it.
Wonderful echo effect on Chad's tagline reading. And I love your new look, although I also share Chad's sense of irony that you have chosen The Long Hair of Death as your next film. Yes.
So it's not just me.
That is ironic, isn't it? Chad, your Dracula story was brilliant. A really close call. It's well known that the Lord of the Vampires, or is that Lord of the Dance, regularly jams his 6'5" self under couches to snap at dangling feet.
Grandpa was right.
He was.
And last, but by no means least, hey, Big Jeff Holmes, try to remember you're on a classic horror podcast, not classic adults entertainment. But that was a hilarious diversion regardless, and so wonderful to see you and Richard finally meet. Love you guys. This episode was bloody wonderful. Al. P.S. Rhymes with waiter gas.
Told you.
Yep.
We must have messed up somewhere.
Told you.
I said quartermass.
Yeah. I was going, we're going to hear about it. We're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
I love Al. He's awesome.
We've talked to him, Al. We've talked to him.
Yes. Love it.
So we also have a couple from Andy L. I don't know. Is he a friend of mine? I've never met him, but we've exchanged a lot of emails. On Island of the Lost Souls. He's behind. He said he was catching up.
Oh.
That's episode 98. I was surprised that you said that this was unavailable until the 70s, as it was on TV regularly when I was a kid in the 60s in New York. I remember What Is the Law? Are We Not Men? Was popular with my summer camp group prior to playing ball back in the mid 60s.
I love that image of kids yelling.
Yes.
Are we not men? No idea. Really.
Yeah, and I we were going by what it said in the background we had, and it's stuff can be wrong. Also, a minor correction about Tarzan, and I'm glad he pointed this out. We were talking about censorship and how they had the nude scene of Jane swimming, and I think I said in the first Tarzan movie, and he corrects me and says the nude swimming Jane scene was in the second Weissmuller movie, Tarzan and His Mate, but indeed was cut out for decades. Tarzan was a TV staple on the weekends when I was young, and I do have a DVD box set, the Tarzan collection, which has the first 6 Weissmuller films restored. DVD box set. Okay. I played the first 3 with my son back when he was about 10, and he commented about the Jane scene, but wasn't really thrown off by it. Somehow we never got back to watch the rest of the movies. Stay safe and cool.
That's awesome.
And then he makes a comment about Attack of the Crab Monsters. Episode 104.
The best movie ever.
Even when I was
sailors and everything.
Even when I was young, I realized that it wasn't a cinematic masterpiece, but I haven't seen it in decades. Still enjoying the podcast and appreciate all the Grue-Crew does to entertain during my time on the road. Even when the film isn't an all-time classic, the discussion usually is. Thank you very much. Did want to suggest you cover Pretty Poison at some time. Kind of fringe horror, but since you did The Hitchhiker, I guess this can also qualify. and it's long been on my recommendation list of friends. Live
I'm not
long and
familiar with that
prosper,
movie.
Andy.
Cool.
I think isn't Anthony. God. Who's the star of Psycho? Perkins. I think Anthony Perkins is in that.
Oh, wow.
I think it's sort of a kind of Lolita type thing, or he falls in love with a younger woman or something. 1968. Oh, yeah. Anthony Perkins, Tuesday Weld, and Beverly Garland.
Oh,
So, yeah, I'd be up for that. When a mentally disturbed young man tells a pretty girl that he's a secret agent, she believes him, and murder and mayhem ensue. Well,
his name was Kurt.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
So, yeah, I'd go for that. And also, we talked about his mother, who had experiences with, like, Harpo Marx and Jack Warner. And she said, my mother worked for the William Morris Agency in the 40s, but briefly dated Jack Warner.
Cool.
So I think we're down to two more. Who wants to do Evil? This is about 108 Black Sabbath.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Evil. Concerning the discussion of black and white versus color, I agree that there is excellent in both forms. Bava is a joy to watch in his use of background illumination, but I feel in the present black and white is a lost art form in the domain of major productions. Some movies are enhanced by it. Take the original Night of the Living Dead, Twilight Zone, and Outer Limits. The black and white makes them so much better. Color as a general default of modern film can become bland when the aspect is just taken for granted. That circles us back to Bava. He never takes the color for granted. That's awesome. That's right on. And one last thing, The Children. Yes, a great early's 80 forgotten gem. Looking forward to it.
So we're doing The Children next on 80s. So, and he suggested it originally, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then he sort of, well, he didn't accuse me. He just said, "Oh, when I heard Jeff say he didn't like demon kid movies, that's why you're not doing it." Well, anyway.
Chad looks extremely excited.
Yeah, have you seen that, Daphne?
No, I haven't.
Can we do a spoiler here?
Please, I'll still watch it even with spoilers.
These kids get hit by a radioactive cloud, and it kind of turns them into
human microwaves.
Yeah, and so then they walk around like this, and when they get to you, if they get their hands on you, then you like go up and smoke. You just like are fried into crispy critters.
Sort of like my brain after I watched it.
Yeah. and some adult figures out the way to stop them is to chop their hands off.
Okay.
So we get, kids murdering people.
It's coming together now.
Hands lopped off, etc. So it's quite the film. All right. Last piece of feedback also on Black Sabbath from Damien Aceteo. Chad can read this one. I think it's because of personal call out.
Oh, really? Ladies, gentlemen, and Dragon Mom, wink, wink. I have no idea what he's talking about. I just listened to the crew's take on Black Sabbath, and it was another 5-star episode. This movie has always had a special place in my horror film childhood. December 2nd, 1983, 2 films were introduced to me that day. One was Michael Jackson's Thriller, and the other was Black Sabbath. As a 5-year-old at my grandmother's house in Seattle, my older cousins were hell-bent on trying to torture and torment me. Watching Thriller 3 times in a row and then watching Black Sabbath in the dark with popcorn and soda, never have 2 images been ingrained into my brain for the rest of my life. The werewolf and the old woman have stuck and have never left to this day. Not until I have gotten older have I come to find Black Sabbath for the influential and classic it has become. It has caused me to watch the other works of Mario Bava, and I am thoroughly now a Bava fan. Well, I have mumbled on long enough. As always, continued success and respect to the crew. Damian.
Yay.
Awesome,
Damian.
Another Bava head, so to speak, right? We got to come up with a name for that. So thank you, everybody, for all the feedback. We love it. Keep it coming. Yes. And, everybody else, please subscribe. We do our thing the way we want to do it. And hopefully there's people out there that want to participate. You could catch us on audio podcast apps or on YouTube with videos, in which case you get some pictures of stuff from the movie as well. Send us feedback at gruesomemagazine.com or just make comments on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, share.
Ring the bell.
All that stuff. That's it for this episode, but every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Nup, chosen by Whitney. What are we doing, Whitney? Do you remember?
William Castle's 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
William Castle.
I
love 13 Ghosts.
Nice.
Yeah, there's got to be a gimmick in there somewhere. So that'll be next. That's kind of so this will come out. What day is this?
17th.
17th, so 24th, 23rd. I don't know. My mind's a mess. This will come out October 24th. The next one will be also kind of straddling Halloween. So I need to quit ad-libbing because I don't know where I'm going.
Leave it to the pros.
Yeah, Chad, when are you going to give me that segue list?
Which
of segue
one?
Scripts? Any of them?
It's in,
I thought you were going to write me a.
It's I made a poster, just different segues you could use between brain farts.
Put it up right in front of me. All right. Thanks, everybody.
The classic era.
Classic era. Get your classic era here.
Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic eras. Only decades of horror can do it. Thank you so much, everyone, and say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.